How's it going, class? My name is Andrew Crowley. I'm currently a student at GCU, and I'll be talking to you today about the storage devices as well as files system structure with Linux and Windows machines. This is for CYB 515. Let's go ahead and get started. So here we have both Linux and Windows, both been around for a few decades. The nice thing with Linux is you have open source tools. It's going to come from free sourcing, any problem solving. That will be your help desk. Compared to Windows, where it's a closed source operating system. You can pay for more service, they have a support line. Both can be great for both business and personal use, depending on the preference and type of work that one would be doing. And we're gonna go a little bit more into that. User-friendly and total cost. So once again, Linux is all open source. It's a free software that anyone can go and download. You run it on an actual working computer as your primary system. You can also run it as a virtual machine. It is secure, low hardware cost. Then you have your Windows. This is a closed source. Cost for each software or system you'd be running it on can run between $150 to $320. Depends on the type of additional sources you want with it. When it comes to both, it kind of comes to user friendliness. Some people that have not used Linux before can have a little bit of a difficulty learning the new jump over. However, just like anything, when we get into working with things, the more repetitions we get on something, the better we can always have and learn. So for companies and businesses, I'd be setting up training, setting up courses to ensure that our employees can then incorporate that new system. So some of the differences between Windows and Linux. Files are broken down by different data drives. For example, your C drive, D drive, and E drive within Windows, compared to in Linux, we have a beginning with that root folder. And from that root folder, we then drop down into individual files. Some other things we can go over for differences between Windows and Linux. You have your different drives for the storage you filed. Consider printer and CD-ROMs and hardware devices with these devices, as well as guest, child, standards, and administrator capabilities. Administrators and administrative privileges. For Linux, we have the tree-like hierarchy of file systems. They don't have any drives. Printer, hard drives, and CD-ROMs, peripherals are considered files. There are three different types of users. You have your service, account, root, and regular. And ideally, once I said before, it's kind of going into the fact of just understanding what type of business you would plan on using this for, and when it comes to cost and effectiveness as well. For a budget, Linux would be a great source due to the fact it's all open source and free, compared to Windows, where you'd be paying for individual systems as well. Alright, going into next, we have storages. We have our NAS and SAN. So NAS is your network attached storage. SAN is your storage area network. Some things with NAS is you have your primary media, Ethernet, I/O protocols. NAS appears to the OS as a shared folder. It's pretty inexpensive, depending on the LAN qualities as well. Requires no architectural changes. Compared to SAN, you have block level data, primary media, file channel. SAN appears as an OS and attached storage. It can be pretty expensive, so that's one thing to also keep in mind when it comes to the system you'd be putting it onto. And it does require an architectural change. Now, you can only choose one, and I am a Windows fan. I think it is more and easier, quick to learn and apply to a business, quick to implement, less training needed for most new users and users who've used this throughout college and school, and we know our systems in support. Some negatives with Linux is unfortunately you're going into forums as well as maybe deep dives of trying to find those problems. And that will be my presentation. Here are some references I used, and thanks so much for stopping by.